Minglewood was a logging town in western Dyer County, located on the Obion River, about 4 miles, 5 miles from Dyersburg. And it was a logging town during the 1920s, at the turn of the previous century. And it was named after the Mingle Box Company out of Louisville, Kentucky. My interpretation has always been the Mingle Box Company was down there in the middle of the woods, which means that's Minglewood, and a town popped up because people lived near where they worked. It was large enough that it had 2 schools, but it also was big enough that it had a hotel, had a movie theater, a doctor's office, and so you wouldn't come to town to get your hair cut in Dyersburg. You lived there, and you worked there, and you existed there. People at the Mingle Box Company worked for a paycheck, basically. Of course, in those days, you didn't get checks. They got paid in company script. And so when you worked for the man, the company had a store. And so if you need supplies and things like that, you would take your company script that you earned and you would go to the company store to buy the products that you needed, whether it be a broom for your house or maybe shoes or things like that. You bought it there. And so just like today, when people get paid, they like to kind of relax on the weekend, we'll say. And so juke joints were popular then. And so there were places to go to drink and enjoy music and dance and things like that. And so over the years, the people who would come to Minglewood to play in those joints began to write songs, and especially in the black community, there were a lot of good blues music that developed. Noah was a young man who was born in Henning, Tennessee. He grew up learning to play the what we would call French harp or harmonica, and became known not only for the volume that he would blow his harmonica, but he also was noted because he could play 2 harmonicas at once. He could play one with his mouth and one with his nose at the same time, which is, I'd like to see it. But when he went to Memphis and played with some of those bands down there, the popular music was jug band music. And people would blow across the top of a jug, and that would give them the deep sound that they would use like a bass. And in those days, recordings became popular. And so Noah was one of those that helped record music in the Beale Street area for different labels back in those days. And he kind of was a springboard to some of the music that became popular in the 1920s. And eventually it found its way into the 60s and the music there. Gus Cannon and the Cannon's Jug Stompers were a popular band in Memphis. Noah played with Gus Cannon. And Gus had a band called Cannon's Jug Stompers. And Noah, when he was in Minglewood, wrote several songs. And the one that is the most popular in terms of our local history is called the Minglewood Blues, named after our little town of Minglewood. Noah even rewrote it and then performed it himself, basically because he saw Gus making money off his song, and he's thinking, well, I can do that song again, but he'd already sold it to Gus, and therefore he said, I've got to redo the thing, so he called it the New Minglewood Blues and recorded it a second time, but he had to change the words a little bit to make it fit and be his song. And then when it finally was picked up by people in the 60s who were in one group, I rewrote it a third time, and it became the new Minglewood Blues. And that group put this song that they recorded on their first album, which was called Shakedown Street. And Shakedown Street is the first album by the Grateful Dead. And since that time, the Minglewood Blues has been recorded by numerous artists throughout the years.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Would you please welcome Columbia recording artist, Bob Dylan.
Out in the desert, raised in the lion's den. Gone in the desert.
interested me because I'm always trying to push myself to do bigger, better artwork. And I feel like if you stay in one genre or type of art, you're never going to grow as an artist. So what really stuck out to me was the opportunity to do something on a large scale, a person, an interesting perspective, and that has a story to tell along that goes with the community so well. So I started researching Noah Lewis by just Google at first, and then Google turned into Apple Music, and I started listening to the Jug bands and Cannon's Jug Stompers and just this whole genre of American music that I never really knew existed. And just their music is so classic, and you could see how it transitioned into blues from there. And so I think what's just so interesting is that, one, I had never heard of them before, and I feel like that is such a part of blues that nobody really notices, or at least I didn't. And then also, I think it's really interesting that these people are so unknown, yet they basically created a whole genre of music that is just so impactful now still. My artistic design originally was just the figure of Noah Lewis playing his guitar, but the more I worked at it, the more that I got some feedback, we decided to do a really neat perspective. We wanted the guitar to look like it's coming at you, or the banjo, the head of it's coming right at you. And we really wanted the viewer to feel really small and this person be huge and bright and colorful. And I played with complementary colors. I used golds and violets that really create this nice contrast. And then I used flowers, because I do that a lot in my other designs. I use lots of floral. And I decided to use peonies this time. They just were really calling out to me. And then to come to find out, they have such a great connection to Dyersburg. So it's just almost like it just came together so organically. I think the Minglewood Mural needs to be celebrated for lots of different things, but especially just getting outside, enjoying your city, checking out the new Pocket Park, listening to all kinds of music, whether it's blues or Americana or country, and just getting out and exploring and seeing what public art can do for a community. And also, I would like to say, if you want to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram at OldSoulVTG.